Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Clutch Conversations. It's your boy Mike. We back at you one more again, live on a Thursday night, man. I hope everybody's doing well, man, enjoying yourselves this week, man. Happy to be on the show tonight, man. We're gonna have a blast on the cast, but first and foremost, shout out to my lovely wife, Kori. Appreciate everything you do. Y'all make sure y'all show some love in the comments, and don't stop there. Do us a solid and show the channel some love. Make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't already subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button, and everybody make sure you smash that notification bell so you can get notifications each and every time we drop a video. Shout out to the audio only game. Really appreciate our support we're getting on the audio platforms. As you know, audio recordings of Clutch Conversations are available on all major podcasting platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. When you're checking us out on your favorite podcasting platform, please be sure to follow, rate, and review. It really helps us out. We appreciate the feedback and we appreciate the support. Speaking of support, if you're involved in this reptile hobby in any shape, form, or fashion, make sure you're supporting both US Art and US Art Florida. The link for both organizations are in the description of this video. If you don't have a membership, definitely go grab your membership, donate what you can. Make sure you're showing love and support for these organizations that are helping protect our rights as reptile keepers. The links for both organizations are in the description of this video. So definitely tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, spread the love, keep it going. And make sure you spread the love and spread the word about our dope sponsors. We're going to kick this sponsor video. They're going to come kick it with the chat. Big dreams start in small towns. Small Town Xotics is a family-ran business that specializes in high-quality ball python morphs, western hognoses, and select leopard geckos. They are proud members of US Art Florida, and the Orient Society. Stay connected with Small Town Xotics on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Witness their journey as they grow their business and showcase their animals to the world. Thank you, Small Town Xotics, for sponsoring the show.
Art comes in many forms. At Armless Angels, it comes to life.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Justin. Shout out to the sponsors. Let's see what we got in the chat tonight. Aaron, what's good? Balls of Paradise, man. I appreciate you coming out. Man, this guy right here, man, he comments on every single video, and I really appreciate the love, really appreciate the support, man. You the king of smashing that like button and leaving a comment, man. Really appreciate it, bro. Balls of Paradise, what's good? Thank you for coming out tonight. Sammy, what's good, homie? Appreciate you coming out. Happy New Year. Getting ready for the new year. Big Roll, what's good? It's another one, man. Big time supporter, man. Really appreciate you, man. Appreciate you sharing the link, sharing on your stories, all that, man. Really appreciate the love, appreciate the support. 352 in the building. Brian from Heathen Hatchery, what's good, homie? Appreciate you coming out, man. Appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Chad, what's good? Hyperspace Reptiles in the building, man. Appreciate you coming out. Man, Freddie, what's good? V-Unit representative, man. Y'all make sure y'all checking out V-Unit, man. It's going down in 2024. It was hard in 2023, and it's going to be even harder in 2024. So make sure you check it out. V-Unit. Blakers Pythons, what's good? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. See who else we got in here. Jason, what's good? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. Casey, what's good, bro? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support, man. Scales, fins, and feathers, what's good? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. And then we got Nana, what's good? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. We're going to stop it right there. kick the intro, then we'll be right back.
Baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor, I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow my lady, just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up. This cool. Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this?
Episode 98, Kori Martin, Reptiles. Hey, what's up? How's it going?
How are you?
I am doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Awesome.
Good to see you.
You too.
Gotcha.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, what you drinking on?
Oh, tea. I'm real wild.
Okay. Is that like an herbal tea or just like straight up?
Yeah,
like
just some herbal tea. I don't want to stay up super late tonight.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, remind me, what part of Texas are you in?
So I'm in Austin.
You're in Austin.
I always tell people I'm in the good part.
Okay. Are you a Texas fan?
So I went to Texas for law school, so I'm a little bit of a fan, but I haven't ever actually like been to a game or anything like that. I spent too much time in the library.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So big time college city. I heard like it's gotten like super populated there, and the infrastructure doesn't really support it.
It is crazy. It's been for quite some time, I think, the fastest growing area in the country, at least one of them. But yeah, it's a completely different city than it was when I moved here like 20 something years ago.
Okay.
It's completely changed.
And is most of that like attributable to the university's growth, or what's
no, it's the city itself is so it's not even really a college town anymore. The tech industry has taken off really, really big here. And so a lot of the growth has been related to the tech industry, and it's been people from California or other places coming here for a little bit more quality of life and, that kind of thing too.
Gotcha. Yeah. I live in Gainesville, Florida.
Oh, dude. My husband grew up in Gainesville. Did I ever tell you that? Yeah.
No, but I did see he had on a gator hat, so I was going to bring it up. This is actually like my segue into it. I know good people when I see them.
Yep. Yeah, no, he grew up in Gainesville. He went to UF. All his family went to UF. They're
nice.
big Gator fans.
Well, definitely after this, tell him I said go Gators.
Will do.
How's he feeling these days?
What, I'm sorry?
How's he feeling about the program these days, about at least football?
I don't know. I should ask him. I'm not a sports person, so but he very much is. And so I don't know. How's the season been?
Oh, it's been bad. It's been a rough one. Yeah. Hopefully it gets better. We'll see. It's been rough though. It's been a rough kind of stretch, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well.
But yeah, I was gonna say like Gainesville is, it's nowhere near as big as Austin, obviously.
Yeah.
But kind of like similar things, like people coming in, but most of all the folks coming in here is like driven by like the university and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's like businesses that are coming too because like they want to like cater to these people that are like in the city because of the university, and the infrastructure doesn't really support it. And so like now like traffic's all like backed up to hell and back like all the time. Like it's nuts.
I bet. It's it's well, and as I think about it, the interstate is kind of way out to the west, I guess. And and there's not a lot of great ways to get around town. Everything's just kind of slow side streets. So I can only imagine how the traffic must be a huge pain.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So speaking of cool places, it's well known that you like to travel a lot.
It's
so
true.
how long have you been like traveling like across the world? Like, is this relatively recent, or have you been doing this like your whole life?
Yeah, no. So basically, I used to practice law. I retired from that about a year and a half ago. I did mental health law, and it was really, really, really intense. I had clients beat me up, and like it was a lot. And so
Wow.
I had like some real decompression to do, and some real like, okay, I need to figure out life after all of this. And one of the things I realized when I left was that, oh my God, now that I am not working a 9 to 5, I have all of this extra time available to do things like travel. And I just really kind of dove in. My first trip was to Alaska to see brown bears, and then it just kind of spiraled a bit from there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many countries have you been to like to date? Do you know?
Oh, I have no idea. Just this year, it's been South Africa, Zimbabwe, Peru, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Panama, Honduras, Greece, Croatia, Turkey, Italy very briefly, but I think that's about it. Mexico.
Okay. Okay, you said Mexico too?
Yeah.
Nice.
I took my mom on a trip a couple of weeks ago. She she's starting to get older, and when I left law, I was like, okay, well, I have all this available time to travel. I'm going to take my mom on one of her bucket list trips. And so I asked her where was one thing she wanted to do. And she said, go through the Panama Canal. So that's what we did. We did this little cruise, and, got to do all sorts of fun stuff. So that was our little trip this last time, but I got to Mexico briefly with that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you're going to all these places, is it primarily just like for sightseeing? Is there like a little bit of herping involved? Like what are you doing?
Yeah. So most of the trips I'm doing are herping trips.
Okay.
Typically, at the very least, photography trips.
Okay.
But the vast majority have been herping trips. I just kind of connected with some people through the hobby, and it's been kind of one of those things where you meet a few people on this trip, and then it opens another door over here to this other person. And then it just kind of like, before I knew it, I have all of these different connections and people I can go on trips with. And I have to like actually pace myself now, because there's like way more opportunities now than I have the budget to handle. So, I'm having to I went kind of crazy this past year, and so I'm needing to dial it back a little bit and catch my breath a bit. But there's so many things I still want to do.
Sounds like a lot of fun, man. You only live once.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
So what have been some of your favorite stories from like one of the trips? Like,
I don't know. I think I don't know that I have any like super, super crazy stories. Mostly it's just been like the cool animals that we found and that sort of thing. When I was in Guatemala, it was incredibly cool. I had no idea what to expect with Guatemala, and it completely just blew me away. It was such an amazingly beautiful country. And we were able to see the Guatemalan beaded lizards while we were there.
Oh, nice.
And they only live in this one very, very limited habitat in this one valley. And there's only like, I think somewhere around 300 individuals left in the wild. And we managed to find 2 while we were there. And so
wow.
that was really special and a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I mean, because like if there's only 300 out there and you find 2 like just on one trip, like what are the odds?
Yeah, and it was cool too, because we were staying at a research center that studies the animals, and so they tag the ones that are found so they can keep track of the population and whatnot. And one of the animals that we found was a previously untagged animal. So
nice.
So that was really cool too.
Nice. So did they tagged it once you
they
found
did?
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
so they tagged it. They also they operated a few like they had a few breeding pens for animals that they found, just to try to like work on getting numbers up for the population. But then largely they're maybe rehabilitating them if needed and then releasing them back into the wild. And it's a really, really cool program. And it was a really neat, I don't know, that one was really cool because it was such a rare animal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what's kind of like driven the low numbers? Like, is it like development of the area around? What is it?
Yeah, so it's a very limited area geographically, and there's also a species of iguana that's native to the region. They're the Motagua Valley spiny-tailed iguanas, and they are related. Like their development is kind of related to each other because the beaded lizards will eat the baby iguanas. That's one of their main food sources, and the iguanas are also at really critical levels, just because I think iguanas are a food source for the local population. And so I know there's been a lot of education about the importance of them in the environment. And, these are what green iguanas are, and sure, go ahead, eat them, but leave these guys alone, that kind of thing. And so I think it has just a lot to do with habitat decline and, just very limited. I think they are both pretty geographically limited species to begin with.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are the Guatemalan beaded lizards, are those kept like in captivity in the States?
I'm not sure. I know that Reptilandia has some. They're not too far from here, and they have at least a couple, I think. But beyond that, I'm not sure to the extent to which they're in private collections. It's not something that can be imported anymore, but I don't know. I'm sure someone has them from some point. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I now have some of the iguanas.
Oh, do you?
Right behind me is a group. I bought like a whole clutch of them from someone. So I've got a bunch of them right now.
So they're iguanas from that area?
Yeah, so it's Tenosura palearis is the species. So I randomly was able to find someone who had them here, and I was like, oh my God, I saw them in the wild, and now I can get to keep them too. And so that's a really fun thing for me as well.
How many you got?
Oh my God. So I've got 3 that are mine. I have 4 that belong to a friend. And then I have 2 more that are unrelated to that clutch that I bought from someone else so that I can have some genetic diversity.
Okay. Wow.
But,
yeah.
That's a lot. It's a lot right now. It's I at some point I'll need to get them back to my friend because they're going to keep growing and growing and growing. And my space is a little limited at the moment.
You're like, doom.
Yeah, totally. As you know, reptile math and how it goes.
Exactly. For sure.
Yeah.
I think I heard you say one time you had like some run-ins with some elephants, like in the middle of the night.
Yeah, so that one was pretty wild. That was when I went to Zimbabwe at the beginning of this past year. The site that I stay at when I've gone, it's actually they typically do hunting on the property, and this group that I travel with has started coming in to create this other, revenue source for them aside from just purely hunting. Mm-hmm. And so they have a lot of animals that kind of come through. There's no fences or anything like that. And there's at least 2 herds, I think, that live on that are on that property a lot of the time. And we kept running into this one herd when I was there the first time. And it was the eeriest thing coming across them at night, because it's like you hear them. And it made herping really weird too, because we'd be out looking for stuff, and then you'd hear an elephant, and everyone runs back to the truck to get out of the way because I didn't have a good appreciation for this previously, but they are really, really, really dangerous. Like
really dangerous,
really, really dangerous.
I can imagine.
Yeah, the size is just incredible, and moms in particular, moms with babies, will get real aggressive real fast.
Oh wow.
Because they're serious about those babies. So it's really the moms a lot of the time you've got to watch out for.
Wow.
But yeah, so that was super cool coming across them at night, because yeah, they were just like in the middle of the road, and yeah, it was just nutty. So
about how far away from them were you? Like,
at that point, I want to say maybe like, I don't know, like 20, 30 feet probably.
okay. So.
Maybe not that close. That seems really close. Maybe longer than that, but it was fairly close. And then we just like started backing up real fast.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to get stomped by an elephant.
No. And we had a mom bluff charge us at one point too, and that was pretty wild.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. That can make for a pretty shitty trip.
Yeah, right. Totally. Yeah, so we didn't see as many this most recent time that I went, but we saw a lot of giraffes this most recent time. So it was cool to get that, and I saw my first lions and hippos, and so that was really cool too.
Oh, nice.
And nice. a lot of reptiles this most recent time as well. I think we found 3 puff adders.
Okay.
And a few other weird snakes, and we found a white-throated monitor and a chameleon and some other stuff. So it was a really cool herping trip, actually. Some leopard tortoises.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, it was really cool from a herping perspective this last time.
Is Zimbabwe your favorite place, or is it?
It's amazing. I love Zimbabwe so much. The people there are just incredible, and it's not as heavily touristed a country as some other places. And so, I don't know. It's just it felt like a little bit more off the beaten path, and that was really fun.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So when you're in the different countries, like, do you try to like learn about the cultures or like pick up on some of the language and stuff like that?
So yeah, I didn't work on language for Zimbabwe, but we went to this one place that focuses on like authentic cooking, like they basically do in the townships. And I tried this like worm that they eat there. It's like a caterpillar. It was so gross. It was almost burnt to a crisp, but I like literally gagged as I was trying to swallow this thing. It was nasty. So I don't know that I'm going to be trying worms again anytime soon.
So they just offer it to you? They're like, "Hey, try this worm."
Yep. It's one of
the
local dishes. And
how big is it?
It was like maybe like an inch and a half or so, and kind of fat, like a big old chunky caterpillar.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
It was fried, you say?
Yeah, it was. I don't know how they cooked it, if they roasted it or fried it or what, but it was very dark and crispy by the time we got it.
Gotcha. Wasn't there a book back in the day like called How to Eat Fried Worms or something like that?
Probably.
Like way back in the day.
Familiar.
I feel like it was. Like
yeah.
Way back in the day. Like that's like 80s.
Yeah.
Maybe early 90s.
It was nasty. I'm glad I tried it, but I don't think I'll be trying it again.
Nah, I definitely won't be doing that.
Yeah.
So in terms of like going to other countries or like doing different things in other countries, what's on your bucket list that you haven't done yet?
So excuse me. So I really, really love big cats. And so there are several trips that I would really like to do that involve big cats. One is the Pantanal in Brazil. It's the best place to find jaguars, pretty much in the world. And so I'd really like to go there. I've been talking about doing a trip to go see snow leopards up in the Himalayas, and go back and forth on whether I'm actually going to go ahead and do that one or not. But I don't know. That's one that would be really, really cool to do. I think I haven't done a whole lot in Asia yet, and so there's a lot in Asia that I would really like to see. Nice.
Yeah. Is any of that on the schedule, the itinerary for 2024?
So I have a few. I'm still kind of in the process of figuring out what exactly my budget will support in terms of letting me do things, since, as we all know, the ball python market has not been as lucrative as it was in the past. But I have a few things in there. I have a trip planned for the Pantanal. At one point, I've been talking about a Sumatra trip, but I don't know if that one's still on or not.
Okay.
But yeah, there's definitely a bunch of different things looking up.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. Nice. So speaking of the ball python market industry and stuff like that, you've been in your facility, what, about a year now or so?
Yeah, just a little bit shy of a year.
Okay.
And I'm probably, so it's been a really interesting experience. It was obviously not the best time in terms of what's happened to the ball python market over the past year. It's been, sales have been a lot slower. And so having that much extra overhead has been a little bit challenging. Also, I've been working on kind of reconfiguring my collection, and I'm moving a lot more toward monitor lizards and that sort of thing. And so my facility itself isn't really a great location for those kinds of animals. And in fact, I had to move them all back home. I had one animal get out. It was a black tree monitor that was really, really valuable. She had laid fertile eggs for me, which is just a huge rarity for black tree monitors. And she got out while I was spraying one day. And within about 2 minutes, she was just gone.
Oh, wow.
And I thought I was never going to see her again, but she surfaced a week and a half later in my next door neighbor's unit. No idea how she got there. I mean, she went up into the roof and the ceiling and stuff, but through that experience, that just honestly scared me a lot. And so I ended up bringing all my monitors home at that point. And so now I'm paying for this facility that doesn't entirely work for a good portion of my collection. And I've been going back and forth and trying to figure out, what to do in terms of like where to go from here.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So you said you brought all your monitors home. How many is all like?
So again, I'm not good at counting these things because sometimes it's better not to count and not actually know. I think I'm somewhere around 20 for monitors. And then as we were talking before, I've got a good number of iguanas as well right now.
Okay. And so all the lizards are at your house?
All of the lizards are at my house.
But all the snakes are at the facility?
Yeah, all the snakes are at the facility. And then my rodents are at the house too right now.
Gotcha.
I breed my own rodents.
Okay.
I'm so tired of breeding rodents.
What are you breeding? Is it?
Yeah, so I do rats, mice, and ASF.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a lot. That's probably the part of all of this that like I hate the most, because it's just like drudgery, and it comes like cleaning day comes around every week, and every week I'm like, oh, I really don't want to spend an entire day working on this, but it's the affordable way to do it. It's really, really, it would be very expensive to feed my collection and not breed my own rodents.
100%. I actually lost 2 tubs of rodents last week because of a novel. Not a novel, was a nozzle. The nipple came off and it flooded like the tub, lost 2 tubs of them. And it was like 2 tubs that were like full of babies and weans that were getting ready to be pulled. Like,
that sucks. Did you lose them all?
All in those 2 tubs.
That's brutal.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's really brutal. It's happened to me before. It's the worst. I can smell it from here. And like, once you smell that smell,
you never
just
forget
it smears itself into you.
It was crazy. That sucked. I never dealt with that, but I heard people like talk about it and whatnot, and talk about like how crappy it was. And so like now I know from experience, like it's a shitty feeling, and it's crappy. And then like you said, man, that smell is like terrible. Yeah,
it's awful. I think I've had leaks happen a number of times, most of the time we've been able to catch them early before, like where we might see the animals kind of soggy, but the bedding has soaked up most of the water and it's not totally flooded yet. But I've had a couple of those floods and they're awful.
Yeah, like this, I was already vigilant like about checking and stuff, but like now, like I'm stepping it up even more, like into being OCD and just like making sure, in that way, hopefully, I don't lose anymore. If something else goes wrong, I can catch it earlier. Because I mean, it was 2 out of what 30 tubs, but still, like it was 2 tubs that I didn't want to lose.
Of course, and then once you have a loss like that, it takes a while to catch back up with production, and because you probably run, I don't know, you run into like shortages if you're holding more back than you used to, and it's managing rodents is like a whole other thing.
Yeah. It's crazy math too. Like I don't think I have it dialed in yet, but right now I've got more than what I need, and I'm only breeding ASFs, and so it doesn't matter. Like they don't ever outgrow the snakes, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's the nice thing about ASFs for sure.
But man, I never can like get the numbers right. But I'd rather have more.
Yep.
Than have not enough. Like my mama used to always say, it's better to need and not have than to have and not need. And like that's
true.
Like one of those lessons that I've been taking forward, like just for life. It's a life lesson.
I know it's true. And I don't know, baby season like knocks me on my ass every single year. I don't time it right. And then I all of a sudden have all of these babies that need to be fed. And it's like, whoa, okay, I've got to figure this one out.
Yeah.
And so it sneaks up on me every time, even though I've been through it a bunch of times. Every time I'm like, whoa, where did you all come from?
Yeah. And I haven't even had to deal with that yet. Just from like a timing and planning and logistics perspective, because I'm only feeding like the snakes that I'm going to keep, the ASFs, and then like snakes that I'm going to sell. I feed them rats, and I get them from like a local guy who is basically kind of like a hub, and like he takes orders from folks like all in the area, and there's like one pickup day. Everyone goes to his farm and picks them up. And he also buys like wholesale snakes from me too. And so like I always have like a running credit.
Dude, that is a hookup.
And so yeah, I'm very fortunate to have like him supplying me. And so it's like, hey, this is my wholesale list. What do you think? Okay, that's good.
Amazing.
Then boom, credit.
Amazing. That's the one thing I haven't figured out the wholesale side on ball pythons super well. I've just like, I don't have great wholesale connections. Like I'll find someone and then, for something will happen and that'll dry up and then I just have to start over again. So that's been one of the things I haven't totally figured out yet. So I'm super jealous that you've already got that going. That's amazing.
They've got that wholesale option on Morph Market. I haven't looked into it.
I haven't done it yet either, but I have so many babies I need to get posted, and I'm definitely going to be checking that out to see if that gets anything going.
Because that might be an avenue.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so for sure.
How big is the facility, like square footage wise?
It's 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's basically it's just a giant like warehouse kind of space.
Okay.
With like I think 14-foot ceilings, maybe even taller.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It's very, very high ceilings, which is one of the reasons that it's challenging. Like if a lizard gets up, it can just shoot all the way up. And so that's been something. And then dealing with this past summer was super challenging. Because we had, like a lot of places, we had a really, really hot summer, and like probably 3 months where temperatures really didn't get under 100 degrees. And so making sure the AC unit was doing its job was a lot of work too. I had at one point I was out of the country and my AC unit failed.
Oh wow, I bet that was scary.
Yeah, so that was really stressful. Trying to manage that from afar, and I had someone watching my collection. But there was only so much she could do. And so thankfully it happened toward the end of my trip. And I begged and pleaded my AC guy, and he got in pretty quick, and I didn't have any losses. Even my incubator ended up okay.
That's good.
But that was scary.
I bet. And then you're like clear way across the world, and you're like,
that was not ideal. And so that's the thing where all of the balancing the travel with the animals can be tricky, because I can find people to help take care of stuff, but they're not me, and they don't, and it's it's finding that balance is hard, but
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, temp wise, like what the facility got up to?
It got up to the mid 90s. So it was around 95, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what all species? Is it ball pythons? I know you got carpet pythons.
Ball pythons, carpet pythons, black-headed pythons. At that point, I don't think I had the Dominican red mountain boas. But mostly those. Carpets are usually pretty durable. They can handle going pretty cold. They don't tend to go as high as ball pythons, but they all seem to do okay. But yeah, it was, the temps were high enough that it was kind of scary. But fortunately we didn't get any higher than that. And it didn't stay at that temperature for very long.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And so how is it managing like all the stuff at the facility, and then like going home and like managing all the stuff at the house?
It's so much. It's honestly too much for me right now. And I'm in the process of, I think I'm going to be moving out of snakes entirely.
Entirely? Okay.
Entirely. Yeah. With the facility not really working well for everything, it's so much money to keep that going when it only works for part of my stuff. And if I were to I don't have as much space to bring the snakes home now that I have all of these lizards with their giant enclosures and everything. And so it's really, do I want to dedicate the time to growing the lizard stuff, or do I want to, limit what I can do there so that I can bring snakes home? And I think the calculus worked out that I'd rather move the snake stuff and focus on the lizards. And so that's going to be a long process. I'm probably looking at like a year of really working on that. But
I know it's hard to like get numbers, but like size wise, kind of give us an idea of like how many snakes we're talking about. Cause I know you've been working on like offloading a lot of your.
Yeah. So and I've probably moved about half of my ball pythons so far, like my adult ball pythons. And so I want to say around 80 breeders left probably. And probably another 40 or so grow ups. And then I have 150 babies from this past season. Okay. So there's still a lot of work to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so, I know initially you were holding back like at least 1 or 2 projects or something like that in terms of ball pythons, but now it's more, I'm probably just going to offload everything.
I think so. Yeah. I just right before Christmas worked out a deal for someone to take the majority of my carpet python stuff I had left and my black-headed pythons. So I've got a plan for them. And at this point it's primarily, just continuing to work on the ball pythons.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what projects are we talking ball python wise?
Yeah. So I still have a good amount of dreamsicle stuff. I have a whole lot of, let's see, I've still got a good amount of like hypo clown, pied, a couple black axanthic and a couple black axanthic things still. And then, just lots and lots and lots of babies of all of those kind of projects.
Gotcha. Yeah. Hypo clown is a dope project.
I love it. No, they're beautiful. I hit my first hypo clowns that I made myself this year.
Nice. Congrats.
After years of trying. I had rotten luck with it for several years, but I finally made my first couple of them this year. Just in time to move them along. But But yeah, no, it's a really cool project.
Yes, it does seem like, I mean, I've only been doing this for so long, but like
Yeah.
I had like a similar story this year. Like I can't hit a confusion clown combo like to save my life.
Yeah.
And I had like several opportunities. Like I had a male that was going to about like 5 different girls this year. So one of the girls, she never really started building, like barely like baby follicles. So not even worth putting them in the tub. And then one of the girls, she started building and she got probably in like the 14, 15, 16, something like that range.
Yeah.
But then she reabsorbed. And so like, that was 2 of the girls. And both of those girls were visual clowns. And then I had another visual clown combo. They had a successful clutch, but 0 confusion clown combos from that clutch. And then another hypo combo girl, because I was going like for some double head hypo clown stuff. 3 confusion babies, all of them males, no females. Like I needed some females. And then like I had another one where that clutch just kind of like went bad. Like everything about that clutch that could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
It went wrong. Like they're all like terrible eaters. There's no confusion. So he didn't pass confusion to a single one of those babies. It's all males. It's they crawled out the egg like super early, like their yolk sacs weren't like even completely like absorbed, just like everything you could probably think of that can go wrong with the clutch almost went wrong with that clutch.
Wow.
And then on top of that, no confusion clown combo. So I got one more shot.
Yeah.
That clutch just went in the incubator. And so it's 9 eggs. So maybe it makes up for it.
Yeah.
But it's a head to head though. And I'm like, man, if I struck out on like head to visuals, man.
Dude, sometimes I have odds are so weird. Sometimes I have better luck on the head to head ones than I do on visual. Who like it's just weird. It's so weird. But yeah, I had an acid hypo male that went to a whole bunch of stuff this past year. And I thought I was going to get 3 clutches off of him. And every single time the first male that I paired to took the clutch. I was so mad. Every single time I was like waiting for them to hatch and they'd come out and I'd be like, you're not what you're supposed to be.
Like, why are you eluding me?
I know. It was so painful.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes, man.
Yep.
Yeah, it could be, one day you could be on like a total high and then the next day it can be like a total low.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster for sure.
Fun though. It's definitely fun. And it keeps it interesting, without a doubt.
Yeah. How many clutches did you do this past year?
So hatched 18 and then I just put 2 in the incubator last weekend. So yeah, that's been my biggest year so far.
Okay.
And that's probably where I'm gonna be like for the next probably 2 to 3 years, and then we'll go from there and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's a good
How many clutches did you do?
I think I did 24 this
24,
year.
okay, nice.
And that was down from like 45 the previous year.
Okay, wow.
But I was doing hog noses the previous year still, and that was probably about 10 of the clutches. And so yeah, I got so overwhelmed with babies last year. Like so overwhelmed that having a much lower volume year ended up being a really good thing.
Gotcha.
Even then I'm still overwhelmed with babies.
Yeah, I don't know that I can do 45 at this point in my life. Maybe like later on, but I can't do it.
It was too much. It was too much. So 20 is a real good number.
Yeah. And so you said it's gonna take you about a year and a half to like get out of the snakes, and you're breeding the carpets as well too, right?
So I had been, but yeah, I've sold the majority of what's left at this point.
Okay.
And so I'm not going to be pairing carpets this next year. I'm not going to be pairing any snakes for this coming year.
Okay.
I think I have 2 that are gravid right now. 1 or 2 that are gravid, and then it's just all of this past year's babies, and then whatever I have left of the breeders. A lot of my really good stuff has gone already, but I still have some really nice things too. So
nice. Cool. And so then it'll just be focusing on the lizards.
Yeah, focusing on the lizards. I love monitors so much. Like it has been, getting into monitors has just been the funnest thing in the world for me. So that's been a real joy. And the nice thing with it is, you know, you can't keep monitors in the kind of volume that you keep ball pythons. And so like, it's more frequent care needs, but way fewer animals. And I'm really looking forward to like moving more that direction.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you've done some impressive things from a monitor perspective, right? Like 2 clutches of black tree monitors?
Yeah, so I have 2 clutches of black tree monitor eggs in the incubator, 2 clutches of green tree monitor eggs in the incubator, and a clutch of Ackies in the incubator right now.
Okay.
I haven't hatched any yet. My first clutch is due next month. And so I'm hoping very much. They've already like gone way longer than I thought they would when I first started. Like I have this thing where I assume everything's going to turn out terrible, so that then I'm like just completely delighted when things are terrible. So it works out really well for me at shows and stuff, because I like go into the show and I'm like, I'm not going to sell anything. This is going to be terrible. And then anything I do, I'm like amazed because I did better than I thought I was going to do. Anyway, so I was sure that the clutch was gonna, the eggs were gonna die off pretty early, and they didn't, and they're still super healthy 4 months in. And that's the thing with the monitors; they take forever to hatch. It's five months of incubation.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Is it similar like temps as like ball python eggs?
Yeah, a little bit cooler. They like temps like 85, 86.
Okay.
And so a little bit cooler than most people do with ball pythons, but not too dissimilar either. The girls are very, very particular about temperatures where they're laying. And so that's been one of the things that I have to really work on when putting lay boxes and stuff in, is making sure that the substrate inside the lay box is within this very narrow range of temperatures that they like think is suitable for their babies. And so that has like taken some work figuring out, but I think I have a kind of workable solution right now. And so, but yeah, they've been so much fun. I also have blue tree monitors. I have a couple of other species as well. And yeah, that's the thing that I love them. They're so smart. Like you can just like see the wheels turning in their heads.
Nice.
And yeah, it's like they need to eat a really varied diet. And so I'm like constantly having to think of like new weird things to feed them. And I don't know, I just have so much fun with it. So it's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that like keeping like all those different species of monitors and like keeping up with the husbandry, like that's much more of a challenge.
It is. And they generally, like I'm generally feeding my breeding pairs like just about every day. And I'm feeding babies every day. And it's a lot more work than just a snake where, you clean it and do its water and feed it like, once a week or, that kind of thing. And so it's a lot more labor intensive per animal for sure. But they can also clutch 3 or 4 times a year. And so there's just pros and cons and all of that, but I don't know. I have fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you noticed like similarities and differences between like the different kind of communities? Like I know like the ball python community, there's like sectors of the ball python community. So like depending on like what sector you operate in, that might be different. But just like species to species, have you noticed like similarities and differences?
Yeah. So I mean, every sector kind of like has its own little thing. I've said for a long time that there's like ball pythons as one hobby, and then there's reptiles as another hobby. Like they're so like they're such different worlds in them in so many different ways. Obviously ball pythons. So, one of the things I looked at recently was I looked on Morph Market to see how many ball pythons there were on Morph Market versus how many tree monitors there were on Morph Market. And at the time, you know, there was like 61,000 ball pythons, and I think there were 18 tree monitors. And so like the numbers of people working with them are so much smaller, but also the number of people who are really, really suited to taking care of them are so much smaller. It's like a much, you know, I wouldn't be selling a tree monitor to, you know, a 14-year-old as his first pet, you know, like that. Right. It's a different thing, but Gotcha. But different environments for sure. I'm still kind of feeling my way through the monitor stuff, but I've managed to meet a bunch of people who have been, you know, just very enthusiastic about welcoming me into that community, and so that's been really fun too.
Nice. So yeah. Is it in general? Is it a pretty open community, or is it?
So yes and no. There are, you know, just like with ball pythons, there's certain people who've been doing things for a long time who like try to do some gatekeeping at times. But the vast majority of the time, I think people are just, because it's a smaller community, people are really excited to see, you know, people come in and really care about it. And so I don't know, it's been, I felt like it's been pretty receptive so far, but it's definitely like they're all the different niches are all different people, and it's just all different people. It's really, that's kind of one of the funny things.
Nice. So has there been anybody that's kind of like maybe taking you under their wing or kind of like served in like as a mentor or anything like that you've learned from?
There are a few people. Like earlier today, I was just texting with someone who's been doing green tree monitors a lot longer than me, just asking him some questions about how he has his cage set up and some of the particular parameters he uses and that sort of thing. I have, so if there have been a few people who have really kind of taken me under their wing. I purchased several of my animals from one guy who's been doing monitors for a long time, but just wasn't having success with the tree monitor stuff. Mm-hmm. And he decided to focus on a different direction. And so I got a pair of green tree monitors from him and my female black tree monitor from him. And he's been really supportive and helpful with a lot of that kind of stuff. So that's been really nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So Kori, I want to take a real quick break. We're going to play our sponsored video and then we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
All right.
Peace and love, family. We invite you into the heart of our serenity, Ancestral Royal Pythons. At Ancestral Royal Pythons, we're not just breeders, we're nurturers of love and growth. Each of our high-end ball pythons is a tribute to the grandeur of the natural world and our dedication to quality. Reach out today and bring one of our creations into your home. This is Ancestral Royal Pythons. Your journey begins here.
Here's to the exciting world of Ebony and Ivory reptiles. From unforgettable parties and events to keeping and hatching some of the dopest reptiles in the reptile hobby, we're all about education, quality, integrity, and respect. Hit us up and see how we can help make your next project a reality. Experience Ebony and Ivory reptiles, where fascination meets fun.
Ebony and Ivory reptiles.
Shout out to the sponsors. I love that jingle.
That's so fun.
So picking up where we left off,
yeah.
With the mentors, has there ever been a time where someone gave you some good advice, you were kind of hard-headed, and it came back to bite you in the ass?
Oh gosh, I'm sure it's happened many times. I don't know. I'm not thinking of something right this minute, but I'm certain it's happened over and over again. because I don't know, I tend to learn best that way by, experiencing the outcome of whatever the decision is and realizing that maybe not so much. But
what's been like the most challenging thing you faced since you've been doing this, like as a business?
So the first few years of getting going and establishing a name for myself and meeting people and all of that took a whole lot of work. And way more work that I'm putting in on that front now. And just that first couple of years where I was just, dumping all this money into it and hadn't seen any real success. Most of my animals I bought early on were babies. And so I had a couple of years of like growing stuff up and not really getting a lot of traction. And so just kind of sticking it out through all of that was probably the hardest part. And then it was, and then it turned into managing space at my house and figuring out like how to make everything actually fit. And then the current one is just managing like cash flow for everything has been the most challenging thing. Because as I've grown, I've taken on more overhead, and it's really, really true that is like as low as you can keep overhead for as long as possible, the better off that you're going to be. And so it's been at different phases. It's been different things that I've had to really kind of work through.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so in any one of those phases, like when it got really tough for whatever reason, was there ever a time that you thought about like saying, hey, you know what? I don't think this is for me. I'm packing up my stuff and I'm going home.
Oh, absolutely.
So what kept you going?
I think just pure stubbornness and not wanting to, not wanting to experience the loss on it. Not feeling like I was really done with things yet. It honestly, so I had a period of time when I was working as a lawyer full time where I had to work every Sunday. And so I couldn't do reptile shows and that sort of thing anymore. And it was truly just my friends that kept me going during that phase of life and the community that I had built. And just having people that I could, message every morning and touch base with. And that's probably the thing through the hard times that kept me going, was having those people who'd been in it longer than me, who had been through phases of ups and downs, able to, kind of talk through stuff. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely good to have like those folks that you can reach out to, and they keep you motivated, they keep you going, they understand like what you're going through, because either they're going through it, they've been through it.
Yep.
So it's definitely good to have those folks in your corner.
Oh, 100%.
Going. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So you mentioned stubbornness. Like, is that like a character trait?
Sometimes. I don't know. Sometimes for sure. Other times it's hard to know what is going to be the thing that I'm going to decide this is the hill I'm going to die on versus other times I can just kind of cut my losses and pivot. But once I decide it's something that I don't want to, that I'm going to fight for it, I tend to get pretty tenacious about it.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of got to be a character trait in this hobby, because like we were talking about earlier, and just in general, man, like there's all kinds of like highs and lows, and sometimes those lows, like it really sucks. And so there has to be a bit of screw this, I'm going to keep pushing forward, I'm going to be tenacious, I'm gonna keep doing what I need to do, and I want to be successful, and I want to like make this thing work. Like there's a
Yeah.
You have to have that in this. Like,
Yeah.
what are some other things about your personality that you think have maybe made you successful?
Yeah. So I think one of them is, so I have ADHD. And so a lot of organizing things don't come very naturally to me. And I have to really, really work at coming up with systems and keeping things together. And I think that honestly, the fact that I have to put a lot of attention into things like, how I'm going to manage keeping track of which baby ate which week and, all of that kind of stuff. It's had me just get really curious and interested about what other people are doing. And I've been really good at kind of like taking the best of like lots of different people in terms of like, getting advice on stuff. Like early on, I went up to Canada to see Billy, and I have I use a magnet system that still to this day that's very similar to what he was using at the time, where I got kind of that idea for keeping track of feedings. And then I got a spreadsheet for tracking pairings from another one of the people that I got to know early on. And, and so I think just being really open to be like, hey, I don't know how to do this. Tell me, like, I would love to hear your way. Like, let me know what you're doing. I think that openness to hearing other systems and that sort of thing has really served me well. And then I think the other thing is, so one of the side effects of my background in law is that I'm like a voracious reader, and I can just spend hours and hours and hours and hours learning something. And so that I think has helped me get up to speed on new species and, new stuff pretty well. And that's been one of the things that's helped me a lot.
Nice. How long were you a lawyer?
So I practiced for, I think only 6 years. I never really loved it. But it, there were a lot of reasons that it was, I should take that back. There were definitely parts that I really, really loved. But I was a litigator and, in court a lot. And, that part was not the most amazing. I remember one time I was in the middle of a hearing and my Apple Watch notified that my heart rate was above, above the whatever cutoff limit it was. And I wasn't moving my body at all. It was just from getting really worked up over whatever it was. So it was just, I don't know. It was very emotionally exhausting from that front.
Gotcha. So I guess it's safe to say that really didn't jive well with their personality.
Not so much. No, I'm very fortunate at this point in life that, my family isn't dependent on my income to meet ends meet. And so, I have a lot of flexibility to I'm doing reptiles full time and have been for about a year and a half. And I'm certainly, that's been a real interesting thing to figure out how to make all of that work on a full-time basis. But I don't know, it's working sort of sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine it gets challenging. Do you do any sort of forecasting or projecting for what's coming up in the next year, what's coming up in the next 2 years? What's your process?
So yeah, I spend a lot of time. I have these systems of monthly check-ins that I do with myself so that I can on a monthly basis, track where I am, what the big things I'm working on are, what projects I'm in the middle of, what the progress I've made on the various projects is, that sort of thing. And that's been really helpful with keeping me on track with stuff. But managing finances has been my Achilles heel. I just I don't know. I hate doing all of that. So that's been the hard part for me recently, for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, it can be challenging and sometimes not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it can be really fun. I guess it really kind of depends on like your personality traits and things you like and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For sure. Cool. Yeah, so it's interesting to kind of like see the development of your like reptile breeding career. Like you started out with the ball pythons, right?
Yep, I did. I started with ball pythons. I added carpets pretty quick into it. And that really started with, I got into breeding rodents for the ball pythons, but the retired breeder rats were obviously, I didn't have anything to do with them. And so then I was like, okay, I need to have a bigger snake so that it can eat that. And we can have it eat, because this is how snake math works. And so that's how I kind of started with carpets. And then I just totally fell in love with them. The way they move is so different than ball pythons.
Oh yeah.
They're also like, they kind of, you can see the wheels turning in them too.
Yeah, for sure.
That's one of the things that I just really, really enjoy a lot, is like seeing, like, I really enjoy observing behavior, and I really enjoy seeing like the intelligence of the animal come through. And so carpets I think are really amazing and love them very, very much. I got into hognose pretty early on as well. I did a couple seasons breeding hognose. And then when I had the year, like a year and a half ago, where I got just completely overwhelmed with the 45 clutches that year, that's when I decided, I was like, I can't do all of this. I've got to let something go. And that's when I made the decision to move out of the hognose. And then, yeah, so it's been, I don't know, there have been a lot of different things where I've tried it. And then, some things have stuck and some things haven't, but that's probably also the ADHD thing coming about too.
And testing out some stuff, it helps you know your limits. It helps you know like what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy. So, I mean, there's a benefit to it for sure. Are carpet pythons like your favorite type of snakes? And did you say what species of carpet pythons?
Yeah, so I had most of the species at one point. I started with jungles. I had a number of localities. And so I had some coastal localities specifically, some jungle localities, and then inlands and Brettles. And I had West Papuan carpet pythons. I think diamonds were really the only thing that's common in the US that I didn't have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there any species that you like better than the others, or?
Yeah, so inlands are my absolute favorite. You don't see them super often, but they are just puppy dog tame. They are so chill, so relaxed. For the first couple of years I was keeping snakes, my daughter was terrified of the snakes. And it was actually an inland carpet that won her over to thinking snakes weren't so bad.
Oh, nice.
And we did. I had some that I took to my daughter's school last year as well. Some of the kids were doing projects on different animals, and I did a presentation on snakes, and several of the kids totally fell in love with the inlands as well. They're so calm and so chill. I've never had one try to strike at me. They're amazing animals.
Nice.
I never had any success with breeding them. They're really cool animals.
Yeah, I got a coastal. I've got one Brettle, and both of those are like puppy dog tame.
Yeah.
From the time I got them.
Yeah.
And then I got jungles too. I got 3 jungles, and none of those were puppy dog tame when I got them. 2 of the 3 are puppy dog tame now. They're still like super alert, way more alert than my ball pythons. I mean, they're just like, like they're always watching, and you can see like their wheels spinning and whatnot. Yep. And then I got one male who he's on and off. Like sometimes he'll be like fine for months, and then every now and then he'll just be like, decide to do something crazy and like remind you like, yeah, Yeah, I am kind of a little bit crazy, bro. So don't get too comfortable.
Yeah, and it's really funny too, because the temperament stuff, there's always individuals that go off one way or the other, but in general, for the subspecies, temperamentally, like things tend to hold up pretty well. Like my jungles all tended to be like a little bit spicier than like the Brettles, which were all usually pretty calm, and so that was always really interesting too.
Yeah, I really like carpets. So those, I would say probably carpets are my favorite kind of snake.
Oh yeah,
that's
cool.
Yeah. I mean, they're just so cool, and like they interact with you like so much differently.
Yes,
it's pretty cool for
sure.
They're
so fun to handle too. Like they just they're on the move, and they'll wrap around your arm, or that kind of stuff. They're just they're fun.
Yeah. At first, like I was thinking, hey, I want to breed carpets, and so I was starting to pick them up, but then like I quickly kind of got off that train because I realized I just wanted to focus. And so like right now we're not breeding anything but ball pythons, but at some point we may breed something different, but for right now it's just like focusing and dealing with the breeding the ball pythons and just enjoying keeping like the other species.
It's I think that's a really, really smart move. When you focus on one thing and really work on perfecting it, there's just a different level of expertise you're able to develop than when you're kind of scattered all over the place. Like I have been. So that's, that's one of the things that I've figured out over time as well. And that's actually probably one of the things where I was a little bit hard-headed, because I had people all over the place telling me, like from the very early days, like pick a thing, focus on it. And I didn't.
I picked the thing. I picked reptiles.
This thing and this thing and this thing.
Yeah, and I think I've read a little bit, like seen a little bit here and there, but I haven't like done a deep dive into like breeding like carpet pythons of any species. But from what I know, it's more challenging than like breeding ball pythons.
It is. So it's typically they have seasonal cues that they respond to in terms of their breeding cycles, and so because they're not quite as equatorial generally as ball pythons are, they're subject to bigger variation of seasons. And so typically there has to be a cooling period with them. With my Brettles, I had to take them down to 55 degrees for several weeks. With the most other kind of, there's winter breeders and spring breeders, and Brettles are in the spring breeder category, but even with the winter breeders, you need to get them into like the high 60s as their warmest as their coolest temperature. And so there's that. You food cycle them as well. So you have periods like over the summer into the fall, you feed them pretty well. Then they're off food all winter. And then you start feeding them again when it's getting close to like breeding time and you want your girls to start building follicles. And then they're off food again until, after their clutch hatches. And it's very, very cyclical with that. Some people also manage light. Usually for me, temperature and food was enough to trigger the breeding process though.
Okay. And so logistically, how that worked, like getting them down to like the 55 when you had like other species that didn't have to do that.
Yeah. So for those ones, I put them into like big plastic bins and then put those in my laundry room in my house. I have a window in my laundry room that I could open up at night, and it was a small space, so it wouldn't cool the whole house down to have that window open. And I had a temperature monitor so I could see how low temperatures were getting. And I was able to, by doing that consistently, get it into the mid 50s. And it ended up working really well for those. But it was a lot of work, because you typically, when you're cooling them, it's not a true brumation. So you're typically warming them as well during the day and then cooling them down at night. So there was a lot of back and forth and all of that too.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that's like super challenging.
Yeah,
just to keep up with all that.
Yeah, that's a lot. That ends up being a lot of work.
And was this when you were working as well, or is this when you were doing it full time?
Both.
Both.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I had a few seasons of, I think I did 4 seasons total breeding carpets. And so, yeah, it's a whole different thing to manage. The nice thing with ball pythons is like, you put 2 animals in a box and eventually, most likely they're going to end up spitting out eggs. And it's, and obviously that's an overstatement, but you don't really have to do a whole lot in terms of like controlling different variables for them. Either, they decide they're compatible or they're not. The girl decides she's going to build or she doesn't, but there's not a lot you do as a breeder to really, other than just giving them food and that sort of thing, to really manipulate that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, that's super interesting, but definitely rewarding if you can like get it.
Oh yeah.
In and you get clutches and all that good stuff. I imagine that's like absolutely. A hell of a.
And I really that's the stuff I really love. Like I like doing the research. I read a lot of scientific papers, like where zoos write up how they manage to get success with breeding different species and that sort of thing. And I really enjoy the challenge of all of that with a lot of the different species I've worked with. Because they've all been like, what you do with a hognose is totally different than a ball python, is totally different than the carpets. And so I don't know, learning all of that stuff has been really fun for me.
Nice. Yeah. Definitely keep those wheels spinning.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool, Kori. So hey, before I let you get out of here and enjoy the rest of your night, I do have some random questions for you that I want to ask you.
Sure.
And so we'll start with the first one. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? And this will be interesting because you've been like so many places.
So it would be Costa Rica. And the why is because there are so many incredible animals there. And it's, such a remarkably stable country. The people are amazing. And just the species diversity there is incredible. And so that's the place I would love to be. I don't quite have my husband on board yet, but we'll figure it out.
We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen. We'll see.
All right. So like if you won $10 million tomorrow, how would you use it?
I would buy a very nice house on some property that had a separate outbuilding for all of my animals, and I would soup it up really well, and I'd hire someone to do all the like drudgery to take care of stuff, and I'd get to just like play and hang out with my animals and do the fun stuff. So nice.
And if you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Ooh, I don't know on that one. That one's not one I've ever really thought about.
I mean, present company excluded.
Right. Well, obviously you would be one of them. I'm going to have to pass on that one. I don't know. I'll have to think on that one and get back to you. All
right. I'll let you off the hook.
Okay.
So what's something not many people know about you?
Oh, I don't know.
We can't let you off the hook with 2.
I know you can. I already got off the hook. So I have to actually come up with something here. So I grew up with a mom who was a stepmom who was an airline pilot. And I spent my childhood like flying everywhere, nice. All over the place. My dad lived in another state, and me and my brother like spent our childhood like on airplanes. So nice. Maybe that has something to do with why I travel all the time now.
So that's one of the forces that kind of like drove like your deep-seated love for travel.
Probably so.
Did you ever want to be a pilot yourself?
Yeah, I definitely went through a period of time where I was interested in that. But that I kind of, but that was when I was pretty young. like, 12, 13 kind of age. But I never, after that, really was serious about any of that. So
nice. That's pretty cool. What airline?
It was US Air back in the day. So then it turned into American.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It was neat. Yeah. And it was like, there weren't a lot of female pilots at that point in time. And that was one of the cool things was, growing up with that example was pretty neat.
Yeah. I didn't fly for the first time until I was like 21. I was scared as shit the first time because I didn't know what to expect. And like, I didn't know anybody who had flown because I come from a real small town, and like we just kind of like did our small town stuff. And so like I didn't know. And then like I got on a plane and it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like,
did you get like do you still have any fear of flying, or did you kind of get over it?
Nah. Yeah. Like I've flown like millions of times. Yeah. Now, not literally, but a whole bunch of times now. And it's just like another day at the office sometimes. But yeah, I remember that first time I was scared as shit. I flew up to Butler, Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up near Pittsburgh, so I'm familiar with Butler.
Okay. It was we opened up a Texas Roadhouse there because I used to be a corporate
right
and
on.
so like I opened up that store, and so I think I flew out of Jacksonville. For certain, flew out of Jacksonville and went up to Butler. There was probably like a layover or two before we got there. It was the weirdest thing. Like I had never seen this before, but it was like the thing. Everybody put French fries on their chicken salads.
Huh.
Like it was.
You know what? That's a thing.
Really?
There were several places around Pittsburgh that would do that, where they'd have like a salad that had French fries on it. And there are also places that do it with sandwiches. Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So like, because it was so weird because like that wasn't like the spec of how we made our chicken salads. And so like people would always like special order, like put my fries on it. And every restaurant we went to like would bring people's chicken salads out with fries.
How
it was so weird to me.
Yeah, that's
and funny. They did have sweet tea. Like if you wanted sweet tea, you had to like request sweet tea, I think, or they gave you like sugar packets, which that's not the same. That's not the same.
No. I'm an unsweet tea drinker, but my husband is like diehard sweet tea drinker, and he gets so mad when they bring a regular tea with like sugar packets. He's like, "This is not what I wanted."
Yes, it's not the same, man. Like it don't hit the same.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 takeaways from Butler, Pennsylvania, and I got over my fear of flying.
There you go. There you go.
Nice. Yeah. So real quick, are you going to be having like any like big sales or anything coming up soon where you're kind of moving on from some of your breeders?
Yeah, absolutely. So my goal is over the coming weeks, I'm trying to pace myself because it's a little bit overwhelming with all of the animals I have right now, but I'm hoping to add about 20 animals a week for the next, I don't know, however many weeks. So I'll be consistently posting and consistently adding new stuff. If there's something in particular people are looking for that they haven't seen yet, definitely feel free to reach out. I might have exactly what you're looking for, and I just haven't gotten around to posting it yet. So lots of stuff will be coming.
Gotcha. So tell everybody where they can find you on social media and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Kori Martin Reptiles on Facebook and Instagram. And Kori Martin Reptiles on Morph Market as well.
Cool.
And I tend to spend most of my time on Instagram.
Nice. Yeah. Well, Kori, it's been an amazing show. Really had a lot of fun.
Talking with you
tonight. And everyone who came through tonight, really appreciate all the support. All the folks who come through and check the replay out. All the audio podcast listeners, really appreciate everybody's support each and every week. If you're not following Kori, definitely make sure you go follow her and be on the lookout for like all the dope stuff she's gonna be posting. Lots of stuff coming to Morph Market in the very near future. But that's gonna wrap up tonight's episode. Can you wait behind stage for a couple minutes?
Got it. Yep.
All right, cool. Everyone else, thank you for coming out. Be blessed. Peace.